Cahill, I want to commend the members of the Commission on the Future of the Defence Forces for producing such a thorough report. I think it's a credible report and it's a realistic report. It's credible because it highlights the significant lack of funding that has been put into our defence forces and how that needs to be rectified. It's also realistic, however, because it recognises that Ireland never wants to be and never will be a heavily militarised state. I think that's something that represents the views of the majority of the people of Ireland. I think, Minister, when you look at the report, it sets out a timeline of 2025 as a reasonable target date for delivery of the transformation. But within the report, when you look at page, I think it is 146, you'll see it sets out some steps that need to be taken relatively urgently by government. And although I recommend and agree with you that you have to consult with, obviously, get the views of the Department of Defence Forces, I think it's important that we don't get engaged in too lengthy a debate. And I'd ask you to proceed with the appointment of an implementation oversight group, with the appointment of an independent chair, the establishment of an implementation management office, and the appointment of external change management support. Minister, I'd ask you to also take on board what's contained at page, I think it's 146 again, of the report, and they refer to the fact that during the course of its work the Commission encountered significant scepticism from military personnel, representative associations and concerned members of the public about the likelihood of the recommendations of this report being fully implemented. And obviously, Minister, you're the only person who can answer that scepticism and convince, I suppose, the members of the Commission and indeed the public that this is going to be different. There have been reports in the past which have simply gathered dust on shelves. There's a complete recognition, I think, now, not just as a result of the invasion of Ukraine by Russia, but also just in terms of an objective assessment of our military capacity, that we need to do more. We need to strengthen our defence forces. We need to do it in a variety of ways as recommended by the Commission. And just finally, on the point of neutrality, I don't think we should necessarily integrate both topics into the one debate, but neutrality does not mean as a country we are neutered. We have strong political opinions in this country, and it's important that our government express them, and you have expressed it, and we need to continually condemn the illegal and unlawful and brutal Russian invasion of Ukraine.
I mean, first of all, on the scepticism around whether this report will be implemented in full, I think that's fair. I think there is a lot of scepticism that even though there's a significant body of work and I think recommendations that most people that I've spoken to accept are necessary to implement now, there is, I think, understandable scepticism because, of course, it means a complete change in actually setting of the resource base, as in where we start from for defence. Effectively what the report is recommending, which is to move to an increased level of ambition, but it's still relatively modest. So what the report has done is it's taken 7 or 8 peer group countries that are similar to Ireland in terms of population and wealth and defence concerns and so on. And it proposes that we move from where we are at the moment, which is spending about 1/3 of what they spend on defence, to moving to spend about half of what they spend on defence. And that was before Ukraine. So, and then it recommends that we have a longer and more considered discussion as to whether we would move beyond that to level of ambition 3, which I think some people will be advocating for now. In fact, I know are advocating for now, given the new security concerns that we're seeing coming from the East. So I do want to reinforce the point. Nobody is suggesting here in the report that Ireland becomes a sort of a militarised country by international standards. The recommendation is that we would move to half of the norm in terms of resourcing across Europe in terms of basic military capacity and plug gaps which are itemised quite clearly, including, as Deputy Dillon said, to look seriously at significantly strengthening the military intelligence and cybersecurity capacities of the Defence Forces, including through the creation of a joint cyber defence command. And that is, I think, a very strong recommendation that we need to deliver on in quite a comprehensive way as a priority. So in terms of the process as to how we're going to move on this, my department, and in consultation with the Defence Forces and other stakeholders, does need a number of months to get its head around how we implement change on this scale. Because it's not just about financial resourcing, actually. It's also about a very fundamental restructuring of the army, completely changing how the naval service operates in terms of double crewing, effectively, adding significant numbers to the naval service, and also looking at a series of changes in terms of fundamental capacity of the Air Corps as well. So all of that takes time to plan for, and of course my colleague Minister Michael McGrath and of course the Taoiseach's office have to be involved in those discussions as well, because this is a government decision for the country to change the way we approach defence from a resourcing point of view quite fundamentally, and how we plan for that over a decade. Not just over a year, and I hope to be able to bring that forward, as I say, in the month of June, to be able to get that consideration. I look forward to bringing it back to this House to not only get government support, I hope, but to get support from other parties in this House as well.
Thank you, Minister.